Alright, what's going on everyone? Cyber, founder of North American Beatbox. I'm joined here with CTB, Allotrope, Cryonic, Black Rhythm, and Track 9, and we're bringing you another podcast. I'm going to shut up and let everyone else introduce themselves.
Hello, I am Caleb Titus, aka CTB. I am co-founder of North American Beatbox, and I am in charge of all the video production that we put out. And in terms of my beatboxing experience, I've been doing it for 6 years, and I have placed top 8 2 years in a row in the 2v2 section for American Beatbox Championships, and top 16 at the Online World Championships put on by HumanBeatbox.com.
Hello, what's going on, everybody? My name is Black Rhythm. I am the 2016 Puerto Rican Beatbox champion, as well as the two-time vice Puerto Rican world champion back in 2013 and 2014, as well as the president of Beatbox Puerto Rico.
Due to reasons, Cryonic cannot introduce himself, so I'll introduce him for himself. So he's Cryonic. He's in charge of editing the podcasts and most of the videos for North American Beatbox, along with CTB.
Hi, I'm Allotrope, also known as Alex. I am one of the heads of Boston Beatbox, and there I do all of the social media as well as the small events. As far as my beatboxing experience, I've been beatboxing for a little over a year, so I'm still fairly new to the community, but I've placed top 16 in the Boston Beatbox battles, as well as I've gone down to the White House and beatboxed for their holiday party. So yeah.
What's up? I'm Track 9, and I have been beatboxing for, actually next month it'll be for 10 years. So, woo, decade. That's a long time. I think I'm most notable for my tutorials on my YouTube channel, but I would like to be more known for my music, which I am currently going into. I have placed top 16 twice in the American Beatbox Championships. However, I am retired from battling, unannounced, but that is now announced here, I guess. Nice to meet y'all.
Okay, so I feel like as we're starting this, I feel like since the majority of beatboxers happen to be male, I think it will be interesting to see what some of the guys in here feel about how women are received and perceived in the community, and then seeing how the females in here think that females are perceived and received. So I personally, just for me, it for a long time it didn't really click until around last year or the year before, the kind of disparity, because I was just like, oh, you're a beatboxer, it's cool. But then I started really realizing the way certain people would treat women in particular, and there seems to be a weird misconception to where if you're a female in the community, the only way you're really gonna get considerably respected is if you're really powerful or technical and on just a skill level. And a lot of people are like, oh, you're good for a girl, but it's gonna not a lot of people will say, oh, you're just good, unless you're super crazy or something, when that's not necessarily the case. I know plenty of good beatboxers that happen to be female, not just because they're good for a girl. And I feel like a lot of people still have that mentality to where it's strange for girls to be good at beatboxing and whatnot, even though there's plenty of examples now of really skilled women in the community. And I feel like that's something that really needs to change personally, is that weird conception that women aren't as good by nature. But yeah.
Yeah, well, I definitely agree with you, Caleb, in terms of this idea. There seems to be this double standard when it comes to judging women's skills as a beatboxer. I definitely think that we judge women more harshly and to a higher standard than even some of the men. And I don't know how that came about. I think it's stupid. It shouldn't really exist. It shouldn't be that way. Now, moving this discussion over to my reality, which is Latin America, women are thoroughly non-existent when it comes to Latin Spanish speaking female beatboxers. There's a massive shortage of female beatboxers in Latin America. In terms of why that is, I would say that beatboxing over here is even more so seen as a male thing, as a guy thing, and so that kind of puts off potential female beatboxing talent that could arise. The ones that stay pretty much have to, I guess, overcome a lot of obstacles, social obstacles. There's this idea. Beatboxing is seen as a very rap thing still, hip hop thing, and hip hop as a culture is very guy dominated. So that kind of trickles down into the space of beatboxing. And I've also seen kind of hypersexualization of female beatboxers. I would see some videos on some beatbox of female beatboxers, and you would see in the comments things like things that pertain to that beatboxer's sexuality in terms of versus their skill level or just the music that they're doing. So I definitely think that that's a sign of, I guess, how we perceive women in general and how that kind of trickles down into beatboxing, female beatboxers in the community. So I think that those are two major issues that we need to address, I would say.
And just going off the point that you just said, not only do they say things pertaining to a lot of the physical attributes of the females aside from their skill, it seems like even though we all know that YouTube comments are just a pit of despair and just cancer at times, it just seems like there's no way you can go, and sadness, yes. It seems like you just cannot go through any video on a popular channel that has a female beatboxer without somebody saying some crude joke, like saying that she should do something orally. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to go there in detail. And it's just like, come on now. And what I really hate is when people decide after, no, if it's maybe somebody's first like real and popular video or introduction to the community on a wide scale, I would feel that's a bit more expected. But even when there's people that have been doing it for a while, have proven themselves, have won events, are making some money doing this, where the majority of beatboxers aren't making money doing this, and they get that almost every video they post. And it's like, you would think that these people have been doing this for long enough for you guys to maybe respect them a bit more. And a good example is Rinka, just one of the many. Like, she has plenty of videos all over, and pretty much every video I see, just her and stuff from Kayla, stuff from Pension Kata, stuff from Carlotta, Sparks. I can name a bunch or more, and it's just like every single video is somebody saying something just frankly disrespectful. And it's really annoying in the really accepting community that we have overall, that something as basic as just decency and respect seems to be kind of thrown out the.
Yeah, a lot of the things that you see going on in the comments is, well, she should learn how to do this, and this. And you never really see anyone saying anything positive about what they are doing. I know, not to single you out, Allo, but your video did get a lot of not as friendly comments. And the thing is,
in battles in particular with women, just if they win or if they lose regardless, there's almost always comments regarding the fact that even if the battle seems close, if the judges aren't unanimous in favor of whatever male the woman is battling, it's almost like, oh, they only did that because they're a girl or whatnot, and they don't. A lot of people don't tend to give them the respect that they deserve because they worked hard, they got to that stage, and they earned the right to battle, and they did well enough for the judges to vote in their favor. It's not just because they're a girl, and I feel like a lot of people need to get that mentality out. So, and I feel like it's lessened over time, but I feel like it's still a big enough deal. But yeah, and the two females in this call, what are you guys' thoughts on the reception of women in the community overall?
Well, I haven't been in here that long, so I'm sure Track 9 will have a lot more to say. But I think, I kind of found a close community of people pretty fast. I think faster than most people. And that has really helped a lot because in these close-knit communities, it's not really no one's concerned about if I'm a girl or not. It's, oh, what can you beatbox? How well can you beatbox? And it's just listening to that, and it's really great because everyone that I talk to knows that I'm really new at this, and I'm still getting my lip rolls down, and everyone's really helpful, and they don't think of it as like, oh, it's a girl, she can't beatbox. They're like, oh, she's a new beatboxer, let's help her gain these sounds. So that kind of shielded me from most of the hate. But when I did put out my beatbox television video, I knew that I was going to get a lot of backlash, and I knew this because Hershey, who is the other head of Boston Beatbox, and she had her video put out before mine, and she got I think even worse hate than I did, and that kind of really opened my eyes because none of the other guys in the group got the hate. It was just me and Hershey, and Hershey is an incredibly skilled beatboxer. She's better than me, and she's been doing this for so long, and she also DJs, so she's really into music, and it was really shocking for me to see that. And then also, so before mine came out, I didn't realize this happens, but the females in beatboxing who have had multiple videos put out online, they'll reach out to you and they will give you this kind of pep talk, and they're like, look, you're a girl, it doesn't matter what you do, this is gonna happen, and just don't listen to it because you need to keep working hard, don't let this get you down. And them reaching out to me really, really helped me. And so when my video came out, I actually responded to a couple comments, and I feel like I responded with a lot of class and just kind of explained, because a lot of them were like, wow, girls are so bad, why are they so much worse than guys? And I was like, well, there's thousands of male beatboxers, and I checked Global Female Beatbox, and we only have 130 members in there, and so you can't really compare the two. And I was like, I've only been doing this for a year, so you can't compare me to people like Napalm and Alem and Skiller who have been doing this half their lives now. So that's kind of just my overall perspective of everything that I've witnessed within my year.
Just one thing, just going off what you just said, I remember, I think it was American Champs 2015. Somebody, I believe, had asked Sparks about just how she feels about women in the community. And she said, basically, when you were to go to an event, you would maybe, and only at the biggest of events, see maybe 1 to 2 females for every 100 dudes. And I feel like people need to keep that in perspective before they start throwing out comparisons left and right.
Yeah, the 2 battles that I've tried out for, the first one was the New England battles. So there was 3 females that competed and probably about 40 guys. And then at the Boston Beatbox battles, there was probably 30, 35 people that competed for that, and I was the only girl. So, yeah, that's was the ratio.
Whew. Do I have a lot to say? So, now, I've been beatboxing for 10 years, as I've stated earlier, and there have been so many changes from when I first started. Because when I first started, I was aware of the community to an extent. It was very small back then, though. Like, right now, it's, like, huge. It's massive. But back then, like, 10 years ago when I first started, it was, like, so few people did it. So few people beatboxed. And when I first started, I think there was only, like, two other female beatboxers in total that I knew of, and that would be Lucky Monkey, who happens to be Fat Tony's wife, and Butterscotch, who I particularly was very inspired by. So, like, I gravitated toward her especially because I really particularly liked her style. Now, back then, I felt like the sexism was more of like oh, I didn't know girls even did that. It was just like a lack of presence altogether because there were just like that few females comparatively. But over time, there has been a major shift, and there are things that are like really good and really fantastic, and things that are just like really toxic and just like are just totally going down the shitters. So it's like these two polar opposites of positive, negative, but they're going very extreme from where it first started, from where I first started to like notice things in the community. So one of the positive things is there are so many female beatboxers now relative to when I first started. I mean, I know Alex pointed out the ratio of like how many there actually are, how many we actually know of, and like it's still so much fewer compared to like so many male beatboxers who are out there, like especially like notable male beatboxers. But it is so great that now there are other female beatboxers that we can talk to now, like it, because I didn't really have any support when I first started out in terms of like this female support. It was kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm really nervous, I'm only 14. But nowadays it's great because like it really shows, because my first step into the beatbox community is so much different from Alex's first step into the beatbox community. The fact that she felt that she could find an actual small like group of people, especially like of female beatboxers, really shows how much has changed in those 10 years. Now, in terms of the toxic, I don't know why I started off with the positive before the negative. My bad. Sorry for that awkward formatting there. But in terms of the negative, it went from, oh, there's like females actually beatbox, I didn't know that, to females shouldn't beatbox. Now that they're here, they shouldn't. That's like the worst of it. And that's definitely not the opinion that every beatboxer holds or people in general hold, but that opinion does exist. And there's still like very, very strong opinions that biology is a factor in terms of your skill, which has always confused me in particular, because people tend to point out the what do you call it? Your vocal range, but like your vocal range isn't really necessarily like utilized in every aspect of beatboxing, and there's different ways to make different sounds that don't necessarily use your voice. So when people bring up biology, it's very confusing for me in particular when I try to break it down in my mind. But because there's these like quote unquote factual backups to why females shouldn't beatbox, there's still such a strong stigma towards females in beatboxing. That's just really frustrating and really hard to get over. And
actually, just going off of like the biology aspect people try to bring up reasons why they shouldn't, reasons why they're going to be inferior by nature. I find it really interesting that people almost solely focus on the vocal range aspect and nothing else, as if beatboxing is only like, say, basses, for example, and they ignore the fact that the majority of developed, like not new, like really developed females that I've heard are cleaner than most developed dudes. Like legitimately, with the like for me personally, girls almost constantly have the cleanest snares. Like if they're experienced, they have the cleanest snares that I've ever heard. Just for example, and a lot of times, even though a lot of times people want to compare like, oh, they can't do these basses or all this stuff, there are so many unique styles that have come from women that don't do like throat bass and stuff, because people kind of like, they like to kind of harp on that stuff and like, oh, vibration basses and throat basses and some inward bass and whatnot. There are some females that do have pretty good basses in terms of like throat bass and all that stuff. But it's really interesting how not using a sound can influence your style so much. Because, for instance, if anybody saw the recent Beatbox Guru video with Reeps One pointed out how for so long he didn't use an inward K. So, and so many of his patterns were based on an outward K, while most people's were around an inward K. And that's one of the reasons why his patterns just sound so different in comparison to a lot of other people's. It's because of the sounds that he chose to not use and the sounds that he chose to use. So I feel like people really need to stop getting on women for whatever they think they won't be able to do and focus on what they are able to do. Because I personally think that women are some of the most unique in the beatbox community, because a lot of the dudes, especially the younger dudes, tend to sound more and more alike. And it's really rare for me to hear any women that sound like the next female. Like every single female that I know sounds different. They have different styles and whatnot. They execute their sounds differently and whatnot. And almost every single one of them is really refreshing. And regardless of their skill level.
All right. Up next, we're going to talk about the LGBTQ community within the beatbox community. Now, I know Caleb's excited for this one, so I'm going to have him start off with this, and then we'll all chime in as he goes along.
Okay, so there's definitely, I'm just going to backtrack a bit before we get to how it is now, but with beatboxing coming from a very heavy hip-hop culture and such, there's a lot of masculinity that is just deep-seated in the way it is, and a lot of very heterosexual masculinity that's really deep-seated, and it's really interesting how people respond to anyone that is not heterosexual that is in boxing, because it's like, say, even a really respected beatboxer who was openly not heterosexual, C-Fresh, occasionally, even with a mass amount of respect that he gets, you'll see people sending like very like homophobic things towards him and whatnot. And if anyone has their eyes halfway open, you would see that on average, the treatment, regardless if you're straight or not, tends to be a lot more harsh towards women. And I feel like a good example is, well, I guess a more recent example for one is DJ Hershey, her video, like with Allotrope, that she touched on. A lot of that extra added hate seems to really stem from the way that she presents herself and the fact that she is openly not hetero and the such. And a lot of people seem to really not know or not really understand how they should handle the fact that somebody's not straight, even though it really isn't that big of a deal. And I feel like, especially with the fact that as beatboxing has grown, a lot of beatboxers are on the younger side, and we can assume, since they're younger, they're probably a bit, less mature. So it might be that maturity coming in more than any type of hate per se. But I personally kind of feel not necessarily torn, but a bit confused, because for me personally, it's just like, hey, this person's a beatboxer. I don't care what I like. I frankly don't care if somebody's like straight or not. I don't care. Like legit, you're a beatboxer. You're a cool individual. Things I care about is if you're a cool person. That's all I care about. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like a lot of people, the second they learn something that isn't normative, they instantly freak out. And I feel like we kind of need to get over that normativity that we have been forced to just conform to for a long time. That's just me in general. So
I find in the online community as well, there's a lot of homophobia, um, in which, what I mean by that is, if someone is openly gay or something along those lines, I'm not aware myself of what is really there, so I'm not gonna advance on that. But they say a lot of homophobic things like for an example, I was on Discord the other day, and I heard someone say, "Oh, battle me, faggot," and little did they know the person who they were telling to battle was bisexual, so he got all upset and offended and left the server, and I had heard about it from two different sides. No, that my input is, I don't care if I go to a live event if someone is non-hetero. It's like Caleb said, if you're cool, I'm cool with you. It's if you're stuck up about it, I don't really appreciate it, and I won't ask questions, but I'll find it interesting, personally, if there is a lesbian beatboxer, for example. When I met DJ Hershey, I thought she was really chill, and yeah, that's all I'm gonna go into that because I don't want to say the wrong thing and offend anybody.
So, I just like my experiences when I entered the beatbox community, there was, because I look so straight, I love wearing makeup, and I feel like I enunciate my vowels very well. I don't know, that's like a straight thing to do, I guess. So, I was getting hit on all the time by guys, and I was so new, and I was afraid that I was going to get people weren't gonna like me if I didn't conform to that. So I ended up pretending to be straight, even though I had already come out in high school. I moved to the city, and I had come out to my friends who lived on my floor, and then all of a sudden I was straight again, and I think a lot of my friends were really confused, and but it was just like this added pressure because a lot of guys were being very upfront about how they felt about me, and I was literally probably a month into the community, and I was just so afraid of being rejected that I kind of fell into the pressure. And I think that once I got fully into the community, I think I became less afraid of being rejected by everyone. So I eventually did come out to my then boyfriend, and he took it pretty well considering, and we're still on pretty good terms. So it was good though. I told Boston Beatbox, and everyone was really chill about it. No one reacted at all, and I told my friends again, and they were like, "Yeah, we know." So so it felt really good, and I recently did come out to the community, and the reason why I'm not specifying my sexuality is because I don't really want to. But no, it's just
That means don't ask in the comments, guys.
But so I haven't personally witnessed any homophobia, but I know there is one trans beatboxer who said that when she goes online, she does witness a lot of transphobia, and I think that's really awful because the human beatbox Discord and any other beatbox Discord for that matter should be a place for everyone, and I don't think anyone should feel left out or singled out because of the way they were born. So hopefully that mentality changes, and hopefully us mods can be more on top of that in the future so that we can maintain a comfortable space for everyone.
So the recent Hershey thing kind of made me like flash back into, oh man, how long was that ago? Back to the first championships that I got into the top 16 for. That was 2011. Because right now I look more straight passing, but back then I looked very butch, and that definitely instigated certain reactions from a particular niche of the beatbox community. And has it gotten better? I think that kind of sector of people still exist, but there's more people who are accepting now, so there's like more support. So I don't feel like those people necessarily went away. I just feel like now there's more people who are supportive. But like I just remember when I had my first submission for the 2011 Beatbox Championships, US Beatbox Championships, American Beatbox Championships, editing, yeah. People could not tell what my gender was, and that frustrated everyone because I was either a very feminine boy or a masculine girl, but people kind of just opted to, this must be a gay boy, and then they started calling me a faggot. They started telling me my beatboxing was gay in like an insulting way. I mean, I think my beatboxing is pretty gay, but like in a good way. But yeah, it was just like all these like insults of like faggot and like you're gay, you sound gay. Someone was even like, you sound like a girl, and I'm like, I mean, so that was something where it was just like that really like just shut me into the closet for a very, very long time. And I like did not want to come out to the beatbox community at all. Everyone else in my life knew I was gay though. Like I went to a very like open and accepting high school, so people there knew. You know, I openly dated other girls, and it wasn't a problem with my classmates. And it's just, specifically the beatbox community, it was just really, really freaking hard trying to like feel like it's okay to be myself. And honestly, I think the first time I ever came out to another beatboxer was I think it was it was Fat Tony, and I was drunk. Yeah, rock star. Okay. Okay. So I had the most awkward conversation with Verver at the 2014 American Championships because we were discussing relationships, like the person we're specifically dating at the time, and I kept using gender neutral pronouns, thinking I'm so sly, she's never gonna get that I'm actually talking about a girl. But like I could tell in her face that she knew, but she was like, she came up as like being very okay with it. So then like after I just like saw in her face after using they and gender neutral pronouns so much, I would just like immediately in the same conversation switch the they pronouns to she and said girlfriend instead of my significant other. So it was never explicitly stated in my conversation with her, but then like later, either that night or some other night, I got drunk with Fat Tony and I said something about having a girlfriend. I'm very honest when I'm drunk. So but like with Fat Tony, I feel very safe because we have been speaking a lot before and especially after, because I already knew that he was very like accepting of people in the LGBT community. So I think that's why I felt comfortable even in my drunken state to admit to him that I had a girlfriend at that time. And having that specific person helped me out a lot with like being in the community, because then it gave me like someone to vent to whenever I saw like homophobia still happening, like when people casually be like, that person's a faggot, like you beatbox like a fag, then I just get a fat tone and go, I'm venting to you because I'm not out, but I want to tell you, and so fast forward, now I'm more willing to be out because I don't know, I feel like these 10 years have turned me into such a bitch because I'm giving less fucks, and you know, I'm loving it. I don't mind looking more femininely presented and having like breaking boys' hearts as they find out that I'm a lesbian. whatever, I'm gay.
But like, how did that because correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you have a video where you kind of like did like a more public announcement per se?
Did I? I don't recall this.
I swear I saw a video where you mentioned it, like it wasn't like a title, like, hey, this is what I am, I like females. It wasn't like that, but I think there was a video. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I saw something. But like, how does it feel now versus then in terms of like being more open, in the sense where even though things have gotten a bit more, I guess you can kind of say toxic in certain senses, especially towards women and those in the LGBTQ community, even though it's gotten more toxic, how do you like kind of balance your basically the fact that you just don't care anymore if people are trying to like kind of get that and just be like, skirt, yeet, nah, boy. Like, how do you, like, for anybody that might be kind of like more hesitant to be very upfront, people be like, nah, and whatnot, like, what would you say to those people that are still kind of not necessarily being as open, or they're a bit more worried of the rejection that they might receive if they are open?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Because I feel like the only reason I'm the way I am right now is because of all those years of just like having a lot of obstacles and like feeling like shut in. I mean, nowadays, I've very recently found a group of queer individuals. I'm pointing to Alex. Okay, anyway. But there's like also some other people in that group, and it's really nice having other people in the same way that it's nice having like other female beatboxers. If you're a female beatboxer and need support for certain reasons, it's very similar to that, where it's like, oh, now there's other gay beatboxers that you can find and like find support in. So I think if you're someone who's like more closeted, if you know of someone or can find someone who is accessible, that is like more open, or like maybe if you like happen to find other queer beatboxers even if they're not very open, like I think that's the best way to kind of deal with it, because at least you have like another person who can relate to you in this specific community, in specifically the beatbox community.
I think that's some pretty good advice, because I think just going off of what Alex said earlier, like when she first got involved, she was able to find these more smaller groups and like group chats and the such. And I feel like if you can find those smaller groups, people that you kind of associate yourself with more, I think that's what really helps about that. But let's start to transition into our final topic after that very awesome discussion about things that people should know already. Into collaborations between beatboxers and non-beatboxers, and the importance of that collaboration. And I feel like there is someone in particular in this chat, Mr. Black Rhythm, that has an extensive amount of experience doing that. So how about you weigh in on just your experience and how it was at first when you first started collaborating with non-beatboxers, the way you learned to kind of increase your ability to communicate with other artists and whatnot, and just where that's taken you and how that's increased your artistic diversity.
That is a lot. First and foremost, I work with a singer as part of a duo, and I also work I'm part of a professional a cappella group over here in Puerto Rico. And I would say that two major areas have been, I guess, game changers for me. As far as number one, it has expanded my understanding and knowledge of the voice as my instrument, because the cool thing with working with non-beatboxers that are also vocalists is that they have certain areas of their instrument more developed than you, and the same is true vice versa. So specifically with this duo that I'm part of, I'm working with the singer who's an expert at this thing called scat singing. And so we have a very interesting fusion between beatboxing, scat singing, rapping, poetry, spoken word, and other things. And one of the cool things with working with her is that she has helped me grow in terms of learning other vocal styles besides beatboxing. She's also helped me become a better musician in terms of learning certain musical terms that every musician, but not necessarily every beatboxer, knows or is aware of. And so that has helped me communicate better with not just other singers, but also with other musicians in general, instrumentalists, DJs, or what have you. So that has been awesome. In terms of artistic diversity, I've also been exposed to, especially working with LO5, which is my a cappella group. I've also been exposed to other ways in which I can channel my musical talents, whether it be things like arranging, like now I'm working with in terms of arranging songs vocally, and that is great. I've also been getting into things like music production and getting in the studio and actually making music in that way, and using my beatboxing talents fused with Pro Tools, Logic, and music software programs, and see what kind of music can come out of that. So for me, working with non-beatboxing vocalists and musicians has been sort of a laboratory of experiences that I have make me grow not only as a beatboxer, but also as an overall musician and an overall artist. So what I would say is that I would actually recommend that beatboxers all over have these kinds of experiences, because it kind of helps you expand your palette of sounds and inspiration.
And one thing, if any beatboxers listening to this have never jammed with instrumentalists, do it. Because, oh my lord, some of the best moments I've ever had beatboxing have been jamming with instrumentalists and other vocalists and whatnot. And even if you don't do it for like different projects and whatnot, actually do like legitimate collaborations, don't be afraid to go to like open mics and whatnot, and just do something just for fun, just to kind of increase your flexibility. But with the fact that beatboxing is still quite small on a global scale, if you want to have more opportunities to do more things, you're probably going to want to get involved in those collaborations, just because you'll be able to reach more markets. Like, for instance, have you got anybody that hasn't seen it, just look up all of Korean FX's collaborations recently. Like, they're some of the best, in my opinion. Like, beatboxer and non-beatboxer, just two people. Not like that's some of the best collaborations I've heard in a long time. and even people that are doing looping with other things, guys like Tom Thumb working with orchestras and whatnot, and really doing really dope stuff that you wouldn't be able to do with just beatboxers. Because beatboxing is awesome, but when you mix beatboxing with other stuff, you really do give yourself more opportunities, and you get to show people how more valuable beatboxing is outside of something like a party trick. Because a lot of people still kind of have that mentality that beatboxing is just kind of a party trick thing or a cool talent and whatnot, but it's not really respected as an art form, and they don't really refer to it as a musical expression until you show them with something like a collaboration with like a vocalist or say a guitarist, or even stuff like if everybody wants to question the musical capabilities of a beatboxer, you can just send them stuff like the Tom Thumb, send them Lights by Reaps One. That's cool. Singing guy beatbox while playing the piano and whatnot, just showing the different uses and whatnot. And I feel like that would be really beneficial to really changing the perception that the non-beatboxing world has on beatboxing.
Yeah, so to chime in here, because I eat up those videos like nobody's business. I think one of the coolest ones that I've seen recently was when Ozelis did that video with the drummer, and it was him, and I'm assuming the drummer was professional, but I could be wrong. I know nothing about actual drumming. And that was insane because on one hand you have beatboxing, which is percussive noises from your mouth, and Ozelis is a very technical beatboxer. So then you have a technical drummer, and the two side by side were amazing. And then when they came together, that was also amazing. And I think something that's been said a lot in the beatbox community is like, oh, beatboxing is so different from actual drumming now. We can't collaborate. It won't sound good. We have multiple videos now with Ozelis and with Penjicott and Skiller, they were beatboxing on this big stage, and there was a bunch of drummers around them. We have multiple videos of beatboxers beatboxing with actual percussive instruments next to them, and they've turned out amazing. So I think that really proves that there's nothing you can't do with another instrument. And beatboxing, it can go with anything. Me personally, I'm in an a cappella group, and the a cappella community, you'll find a lot of beatboxers also do a cappella, and the a cappella community loves beatboxing. They love a good perk, and they love learning too, and I love teaching sounds. So it is super fun because on one hand they're teaching me how to sing, and on the other hand I'm teaching them how to make percussive noises with their mouth. So it's a really great way to bond with other people and form that kind of friendship. So yeah, I think that beatboxing, if you get the opportunity to beatbox with other instruments or with in other scenarios, you definitely should, because there's nothing better than being in a room full of people who do all different instruments and just coming together, and it's so fun.
My school puts on open mic every Friday at during our lunch period. So right before my one teacher transferred schools, he played guitar. So he came up to me one day and said, "Hey Walker, why don't you come and beatbox while I play guitar?" And I said, "Oh yeah, sure." It was my first time ever doing something like that before. We did it, and we covered. I don't remember what song we covered, but it was without rehearsal, and we just did a cover, but it was one of the best experiences I've had with my beatboxing, like, ever. And I've been taking it seriously for about 2 years, but no, yeah, if you haven't collaborated with another musician and you're watching this video right now, go find a guitar player in your city and just jam. That's all you have to do. You don't need a mic or an amp. All you need is your mouth and a guitar or a drum set or even a drum pad. I've collabed with someone who was using a drum pad before. That's my little bit of input for this.
Just one more thing. I just want to go back to one thing that Alex said in regarding the acapella groups and how they really do love beatboxing and whatnot. What I find really interesting is that even though a lot of acapella groups really do love and appreciate beatboxing, it seems like they don't appreciate beatboxing to its fullest in the sense where beatboxers and acapella groups are still often viewed as almost just strictly being the drum. You know, they're not necessarily given as much freedom, it seems like, to really express just what they're fully capable of. Because a really skilled beatboxer can really carry a lot and make a really full sound and sounding performance that isn't just all percussion, you know, and or just a bass line, you know. And I feel like a lot of acapella groups kind of need to expand in terms of how much they're letting their beatboxers really flex their abilities, because when you have a really cool beatboxer and you really let them like flex what they can do, it helps your overall performance, honestly, because you're adding more diversity to your performance. That's just my particular like feel, and it definitely is a real, I feel, old school perception per se. But I know Edgar probably has a lot to say about this with his experience with acapella groups and the such. So Edgar, what are your thoughts on the whole value of the beatboxer in the acapella world?
Well, to be honest, well, this is tricky because not every song requires the beatboxer to flex his muscles.
True.
There's a couple factors that we need to take into consideration. One of them is what type of song are you composing or you're arranging, and what does the song require of the musician, and so that has to be sort of like a guiding principle when it comes to arranging and or composing in an a cappella setting. I definitely agree with Alo in terms of how singers perceive the beatboxer in a group. Like a lot of times they really enjoy, and most of the time they really want to learn about, you know, what it is that we do. I think there's also an aspect of just a lot of times they just don't know, you know, what goes on in the beatboxing world, you know, and so people like Allotrope and myself, we serve as kind of that window into that space, and in my experience, when you show them that beatboxing is more than drum sounds, then they appreciate it a lot more. Now, in terms of the value in our performance setting, I was visually performing with my group, and I can definitely attest to the fact that a good beatboxer can make or break our performance. Now, in terms of, there's also another aspect in terms of the responsibility that a beatboxer has within the acapella setting. Like if you, especially when it comes to timekeeping and such, like if you go off, everybody goes off with you. So I used to, when I started performing with LO5, I kind of felt less because I was the only one that wasn't singing or wasn't harmonizing with everybody else. But then I found out that rhythm is one of the most, it's actually the hardest part to actually deal with musically. So definitely a beatboxer has incredible value when it comes to not only timekeeping but also just diversifying the arrangements and the compositions in terms of different sounds and stuff that they can use.
I'm just gonna read what Cryonic wrote in the chat real quick, which speaks volumes about what non-beatboxers think. He just said non-beatboxers think that the old school way is still the way everyone does it. So they don't know what tech that sounds good to us sounds good to them. So what he's implying is like Sounds good to them. They think it just sounds like random clicks and other noises. So in their own mind is just simple bass, melody, and PF snare. That's what non-beatboxers think, according to
I agree to a certain degree, but just going back on something that Edgar said, he said that it really, when it comes down to how much a beatboxer might flex during a performance or for whatever song you're doing, it really has to go with what is the song requiring of the artist. And my counter question to that would be, do you think that a cappella groups in particular don't necessarily have much of a perception of beatboxers to the point where they consider more complex compositions because they have a more diverse tool than they had years ago? But do you think that they are not quite sure of what to do with that tool and they are avoiding more complex or more full compositions?
Remember when I said to you about the possibility of this position within the music industry appearing, and that would be a beatbox arranger? Remember when we talked about that? I think that many contemporary a cappella arrangers don't know how to deal with a beatboxer when it comes to because remember, if they don't know the full plethora, the full spectrum of what a beatboxer in 2017 is capable of, then I can't use you to your full capabilities when it comes to arranging a song or even composing a song. So I think that yes, that you are correct in the sense that arrangers or even vocalists that make their own music, I don't think that they really use a beatboxer to his or her full extent because they don't know the full extent of beatboxing as an art form yet. So that and that's actually quite interesting because then when you start getting vocal groups in which everybody's a beatboxer, like the Beatbox House or Braywam, then things actually start getting a lot more interesting because that now you have beatboxers that can sing or beatboxers that can rap, and people that actually have full feel of, hey, what can we do with this? So I think that more, I guess, older arrangers or more traditional arrangers in an a cappella setting can actually learn a lot from this new, I would say, hybrid vocal groups. So yes, I would say that there's two steps to that. Number one, education needs to continue in that space, and then when step two would be, okay, once they have that knowledge, what can we do with it?
So the thing about beatbox composition with contemporary, like current contemporary a cappella, is that what Black Rhythm said earlier about like you don't necessarily need to flex your muscles all the time is very true, because there are also times where I see beatboxers who are as skilled as like the beatbox community type of beatboxers, and there are times where I see them flexing a little too much in certain songs that don't need it. Like if there's a group doing a cover of Hallelujah, I don't want to hear lip rolls in that. Why would you do that? But things like that happen. So there are times where I feel like it is like, from my personal experience, there are times I do feel like it's nice to kind of just chill back and not use so much technique in a song, because not all songs need that. And I like that. As someone who has done primarily solo beatboxing before being in a group, I thought it was very therapeutic for me in particular to like kind of just do some like simple like bass kicks and snares, and just like being part of the group and being an additional back with the group. But there are times where, yeah, it's really nice to show off and like do like an electric EDM type of song and like have some kind of stuff. As long as it works with the composition, I think that's when you can utilize those really nice special techniques that we have.
Now you mentioned something that I wanna go back to track, which is important. People understand. Is number one, Chesney was talking about in an interview that not every beatboxer is a percussionist. There's a lot of awesome beatboxers with a vast range of sounds that can't keep a beat. And people that are not consistent rhythmically speaking. So that's a skill that is kind of a must within that setting. And another thing I wanted to mention is that there's not a lot of, I guess, legit beatboxers in acapella groups. Like there's a difference between beatboxers and vocal percussionists, and usually acapella ensembles look for more of the vocal percussionists to serve as the role of like the timekeeper kind of thing. So when it comes to, for example, making like a EDM cover or arrangement or even composition, a lot of groups are not going to be able to do that convincingly because they don't have that beatboxer that's able to do some of the sounds that you just did. So that is kind of limiting in that sense. You don't actually, for me, one of the reasons why a group like Pentatonics has been so successful as an a cappella group is because it's one of the first groups that has, in my view, a legit beatboxer. And so that is something that we're just now starting to see, this meshing of the beatboxing world and the acapella world. And I think as that thing progresses, we'll start to see more complicated arrangements when it comes to beatboxing's, flexing of the muscles kind of thing, if you will.
And I feel like that is definitely a task that really does come down to the beatboxers in the community. It really does. To a lot of us need to go out and really interact more with other artists and whatnot. And really, the more that we show what we're capable of, the more opportunities will pop up for beatboxers in general. So I feel like that's a good part to kind of end off this podcast. But if anybody has any final thoughts, that I'm like, just to say them now. If you want to plug anything, inform people of something. Either you have some merchandise, a channel you want to pimp out, an event that might be going down, fill us in. We will include it in the description or whatnot. So yeah, this is your time to kind of put that plug, if you know what I'm saying.
Be sure to check out Track 9's book that she made with Fat Tony called Toot. We'll post the link to it on Amazon.ca as well as Amazon.com for my fellow Canadians out there.
Yeah, I would like to make an announcement. This year, the very first Latin American Beatboxing Championships are going down. November 18th and 19th in Lima, Peru. And I believe so Beatbox is going to be one of the sponsors for this event. So everybody stay tuned for that.
I have another shameless plug. Oh, okay. We also don't have to shamelessly plug me. Okay, I'm going to whore myself out real quick. Keep that in. Please keep that part in. I didn't know this was going to be a topic for today's podcast, but I will be teaching a workshop on beatbox composition with acapella at the LA Acapella Festival, which is February something. Check out the link that will be provided somewhere
down below.
All right, Track 9 and Allotrope, thank you for joining us. And,
oh wait, one more thing. We gotta pimp out Boston Beatbox, bro.
Oh yeah,
check out
Boston Beatbox.
Check out, they're gonna be having the Boston battles later on this year. Come through if y'all trying to win. because I know I'm gonna tell you right now, Boston, they're bringing up some really nice beatboxers. So if you want to give yourself a challenge while also meeting some pretty cool people, you know, hit up that Boston beatbox battle. It's gonna be cold because it's Boston, so it's
Well,
cold.
It'll be warm
actually,
for me.
you
I'm
bring up
Canadian.
you bring up a good point that last year we announced last year we wanted to make this an annual thing, and last year I believe they were in February. If you've noticed, we haven't announced anything yet, and that is because the battles are not going to be in February this year. They're actually going to be in the spring. So when we have an official date, we will release that. But I've been getting a lot of questions recently like, why haven't you announced the battles yet? That's because they're in different time this year. So yeah, and they're going to be big. So everyone get really excited, but not too excited yet because they're still a little bit away.
All right, cool. So check out. We're gonna have their links in the description and whatnot. If you
All the
wanna
videos we mentioned will
check
also
out
be
my
in the
boy
description.
David, who edits the podcast. Hit up at Snapchat and Instagram at I'm Cryonic. We'll put that in the description as well because he needs friends in his life. But yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed
Thank
and
you all for watching.
indeed. And if you have any feedback for us, leave it in the comments, and we will be sure to get back to you.
Let us know your opinions on the topics in the comments below, and yeah, be sure to comment down some new topics for us to do on our next podcast. All right, thanks for watching, everyone. Have a nice day, night, or afternoon.